Did you know that right now, in 2026, thousands of naturalized American citizens are waking up to find their citizenship under review, people who worked for years, passed every test, and played by every rule? If you or someone you love went through the naturalization process, what's happening right now in Washington could affect your life in ways nobody warned you about. Stay right here, because today we're breaking it all down in plain, honest language, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand. If this sounds important to you, hit that like button, subscribe so you never miss an update, and drop a comment below telling us your experience with the naturalization process. We read every single one. Now, let's start from the very beginning, because understanding why these changes are happening is just as important as understanding what is changing. The Trump administration came back into office with immigration policy at the top of its agenda, and we're not just talking about border security or visa rules. This time, the conversation has shifted to something much closer to home for millions of families across America: the citizenship you already have, the citizenship your children earned, and the rights that come with it. For decades, naturalization was seen as the finish line. You studied, you waited, you passed your civics test, you raised your right hand, and you became an American. Many of you watching right now remember that moment vividly. Maybe it was in a courthouse, maybe it was a room full of people from dozens of different countries, all sharing one of the most meaningful moments of their lives. That ceremony felt like a door closing on uncertainty and a door opening on belonging. And for most people, it was exactly that. But in 2026, that finish line has gotten a little more complicated, and for some people, it's being moved backward. Let's talk about something that's making headlines but isn't being explained clearly enough for everyday people: denaturalization. This is the legal process of revoking someone's citizenship after it's been granted. Now, this isn't brand new, it's always existed as a legal remedy for cases of serious fraud. But here's what is new: the scale at which it's now being pursued. Under current directives, USCIS field offices, those are the offices that handle immigration and citizenship cases, have been instructed to refer between 100 and 200 cases every single month to the Department of Justice. Let that number sink in for a moment. That is a 20-fold increase over what we saw in previous years. 20 times more. That's not a small adjustment, that's a fundamental shift in how the government is approaching citizenship. Now, who are they targeting? Officially, the focus is on individuals with alleged links to serious crimes or cases where fraud or material misrepresentation may have occurred during the application process. In plain terms, that means people who may have hidden a criminal record, provided false documents, or given misleading information when they applied for citizenship. And to be clear, if someone genuinely committed fraud to gain citizenship, the legal system has always had the right to address that. That part isn't new. What is new is the volume, the urgency, and the resources being poured into these investigations. Here's the important reassurance many of you need to hear: these cases still require a full federal court proceeding. The government cannot simply send you a letter and take away your citizenship. They have to prove, in a court of law, that fraud or misrepresentation occurred. That is a high legal bar, and it's meant to be. The courts remain a safeguard. But the sheer increase in referrals means more people will receive notices, more families will face legal uncertainty, and more immigration attorneys will be busier than they've ever been. If you have any questions about your own status, now is a good time to organize your documents and consult with a qualified immigration attorney, just to have peace of mind. Moving on to something that affects those who are still on the path to citizenship, the civics test has changed significantly. In 2025, the administration reinstated a longer, harder version of the naturalization civics exam, closely modeled after the 2020 format that was briefly introduced and then rolled back. This new test goes deeper into American history and government than the older version most people are familiar with. We're talking about more nuanced questions about the branches of government, landmark historical events, and foundational documents. It's designed to ensure that new citizens have a thorough, substantive understanding of how this country works, and while many people support that goal, advocates for immigrant communities have raised concerns that the increased difficulty creates additional barriers, especially for elderly applicants or those still building their English language skills. But the civics test isn't the only thing getting stricter. The naturalization process now includes what officials describe as enhanced scrutiny of an applicant's moral character. This has always been part of the application. Applicants have always needed to demonstrate good moral character, but the review process is now more rigorous and more detailed. And here's something that surprises a lot of people: social media history is now part of that review. Yes, your Facebook posts, your Twitter activity, your public comments online, these can now be examined as part of determining whether an applicant meets the moral character requirement. For many seniors who've embraced social media to stay connected with grandchildren and old friends, this is a reminder that what we share online can carry real-world consequences in ways we might not expect. Now let's talk about voting, because this is where things get especially significant for naturalized citizens who are fully registered voters. In February of 2026, Congress passed what's called the Save America Act. This legislation introduced two major new requirements for federal elections. First, voters must now provide documentary proof of citizenship when registering to vote. This means a passport, a birth certificate, or naturalization certificate, not just a driver's license or utility bill as many states previously accepted. Second, the Act introduces a national photo ID requirement for federal elections, meaning that showing up to vote now requires a government-issued photo ID nationwide, not just in states that had already adopted such laws on their own. Supporters of this legislation argue it strengthens election integrity and ensures that only citizens participate in federal elections, goals that resonate with many Americans across the political spectrum. Critics, however, point out that millions of eligible voters, including many naturalized seniors on fixed incomes, may not have easy access to the required documents. Replacing a lost naturalization certificate, for example, costs money and takes time. For someone who's been voting for 20 or 30 years without incident, suddenly being asked for a document they've never needed before can feel disorienting, even discouraging. If you're a naturalized citizen and you want to make sure your voting rights are fully protected under these new rules, the most important thing you can do right now is locate your naturalization certificate and make a certified copy to keep in a safe place. If yours has been lost or damaged, you can apply for a replacement through USCIS using Form N-565. It's also worth contacting your local election office to understand exactly what documentation your state requires under the new federal guidelines, because implementation can vary by location. What we're watching unfold in 2026 is, in many ways, a redefinition of what American citizenship means in the 21st century, who holds it, how it's earned, and what responsibilities come with it. For those of you who lived through previous waves of immigration policy changes, you know that these moments can feel unsettling, even frightening. But knowledge is the most powerful tool any of us has. Understanding the rules, the real rules, not the rumors, puts you in a position of strength, not fear. And that's exactly why we're here together today. Because you deserve straight answers, honest information, and someone who talks to you like an adult who's capable of handling the truth. As we head into the final part of this video, we're going to pull all of this together and talk about what steps you or your loved ones can take right now to protect your status, your rights, and your peace of mind, so stay with us, because the most actionable part is coming up next.